Today, we are diving into one of the most intense and, frankly, shocking stories from the ancient world. It's a story all about rules, tragedy, and one single, fatal mistake. This is the story of the unauthorized fire. We're actually going to start at the very end, with the shocking climax. Imagine this. Two priests, standing in the holiest place on earth, are suddenly and violently struck dead by a fire from the very God they were there to serve. It's abrupt, it's terrifying, and it leaves you asking one massive question. So what on earth happened? What could they possibly have done to deserve that? In this explainer, we're going to unravel this ancient mystery. It's a story about a fatal mistake and what it tells us about the terrifying nature of holiness. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story takes place in the most sacred space imaginable, the tabernacle sanctuary. This should have been a moment of triumph, a celebration. Instead, it turned into a scene of absolute tragedy.
The two men at the center of all this are Nadab and Abihu. And look, these weren't just anybody's. They were the sons of Aaron, the very first high priest. They were insiders, part of the top brass, you know? They had just been consecrated for this holy duty. They were at the absolute peak, the very beginning of their sacred careers. So that brings us right to the heart of it. What exactly did they do wrong? What was their crime that called for instant death? You know, on the surface, what they did sounds perfectly normal for a priest. Okay, step 1, they took their censers. Check. Step 2, they put fire in them. Check. Step 3, added incense to make that fragrant smoke offering. Check. But it's that final step, step 4, where it all went so terribly wrong. They offered unauthorized fire. And the text is really specific here. The phrasing is that their offering was contrary to his command. This tells us it wasn't just an accident or a simple oops. No, this was a direct violation of a known rule. In this kind of highly structured system, the procedure was everything, and they broke protocol right in the heart of the sanctuary.
The aftermath of this is almost as shocking as the event itself. I mean, think about it. Aaron, their father, has just watched 2 of his sons die in an instant. But his response and the commands he's given, they are anything but what you would expect.
Right away, Moses steps in, and he doesn't frame this as a personal tragedy for his brother. He frames it as a theological lesson. He tells Aaron this is what God meant about being proved holy by those closest to him. The message is just brutal. God's holiness and honor come before everything, even a father's grief.
And Aaron's response to this? Nothing. The text just says, Aaron remained silent. Can you even imagine the weight of that silence? The shock, the grief, the terror, all of it bottled up inside a man who just lost his sons and literally cannot say a word. And then, believe it or not, it gets even more intense. Moses lays down these incredibly strict rules for Aaron and his surviving sons. They are forbidden from showing any of the normal signs of mourning. Don't mess up your hair, don't tear your clothes. They can't even leave the sanctuary. And the penalty for breaking these grieving rules? Death. The exact same thing that just happened to their brothers.
So here you see this really stark division. The priests, because of their special holy status, are forbidden to mourn. Their job literally transcends their personal human response to loss. The rest of the community, though, they're actually told to mourn for Nadab and Abihu. So there's one standard for the holy and another for everyone else.
But the story doesn't just end there in grief and silence. This tragedy immediately, and I mean immediately, leads to a brand new permanent law for all priests going forward. It completely reshapes the rules of their service.
And here it is, the new law delivered straight from God to Aaron. From now on, priests are forbidden from drinking wine or any fermented drink before they go into the tent of meeting. Now, the text doesn't say it outright, but you kind of have to wonder if the implication is that maybe some impaired judgment is what led to Nadab and Abihu's fatal error in the first place.
And the reason given for this law? Well, it's fascinating. It's all about discernment. You need a clear mind to be able to tell the difference between what's holy and what's common, what's clean and what's unclean. So this wasn't just a safety rule. It meant that sober judgment was absolutely essential for them to do their job as teachers and spiritual guides for the whole nation. Just when you think this day cannot possibly get any more tense, a second conflict breaks out. But this one reveals something totally different. A really unexpected moment of humanity, right in the middle of all this rigid law.
So to get this next part, we need to know what a sin offering is.
It was a really important sacrifice, and here's the key bit. The priests had to eat a portion of the meat. It was like they were symbolically taking the guilt of the community onto themselves. It was a vital part of the whole process. So later on that same day, Moses finds out that the sin offering was just completely burned up. It wasn't eaten by Aaron and his sons like the law commanded. And remember, he just saw 2 guys die for breaking a command. So Moses is furious.
He goes right to Aaron's other sons and confronts them. Why didn't you eat the sin offering? You were supposed to eat it, as I commanded. You can just feel his frustration. He's trying to maintain absolute order on a day of complete chaos.
And now, Aaron, who's been silent this whole time, finally speaks up. And his reply is just incredible. He doesn't make an excuse, he asks a question. He says, after what happened to me today, after my sons died right there, would God really have been pleased if I had eaten that holy meal in my state of mourning? It's this powerful appeal to common sense and human decency over blind procedure. And the resolution is amazing. Moses, the ultimate lawgiver, hears Aaron's plea, and he accepts it. The text says he was satisfied. It's this moment of profound grace where the reality of crushing grief is seen as a valid reason, even within this incredibly strict system.
So at the end of this one catastrophic day, you have 2 major new precedents. First, a new permanent law. Priests can't drink on duty. And second, a new exception. Sometimes the law has to bend for profound human tragedy. Law and mercy, both established in the wake of disaster.
At the end of the day, this story is just a stark lesson from this ancient worldview. Approaching the divine was seen as profoundly dangerous. It required absolute precision, absolute reverence. Holiness was like a powerful, consuming fire. And if you got too close without following the rules exactly, well, it could be fatal.
And that leaves us with a final thought, right? The story of Nadab and Abihu is this collision between divine law and human error, between sacred duty and personal grief. And it really forces us to ask, in any system of absolute rules, where do you draw the line between obedience and just being human?